What do you think of that one?
Nice.
Why is it nice?
Because I was able to hit the target.
Because you're able to hit the target. How's the recoil?
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah, much easier.
Welcome back, everyone. As you probably guessed from the title and the video, this is the gun that we're going over today. This one I've had in for a while now. We're finally getting around to the review, but this is the Girsan Witness 2311 Match X. What is it? Well, basically, it's a 2011 and pretty much a clone of the Staccato XC at a very small fraction of the price point. So, of course, the first thing I wanted to know is, would it work? So we took it to the range many, many times. And right now we have right around 1,500 rounds through it. So quite a bit. But before we get into all the performance and all of those sorts of things, I suppose let's just go over the actual gun itself. One thing that's probably notable, particularly at the price point, is that it does come with this fancy box. It is O-ring sealed. You can lock it. It does have the pressure relief valve, all of those sorts of things. And it comes with all the things you need to do to maintain this pistol, a little cleaning kit, rod, the actual pins that you need for a comped barrel to disassemble. I just use a paper clip, but it comes with all that. So I definitely think that is a nice touch. Now it also comes with 2 magazines. They are Checkmate magazines. It comes with a 17 round as well as a 20 round magazine. Drops out freely as you would expect. They are standard 2011 patterns. So if you have a bunch of 2011 mags already, you are good to go there. Basically, it has obviously a steel slide as you would expect. And the frame itself is aluminum with the grip module being polymer. Probably the most common 2011 type of configuration, if you will. And I suppose with that, let's just sort of walk through the pistol itself. Start here at the bottom and then work our way up to the slide and that very interesting barrel design that we do have on here. So we have a large magwell that you can actually remove. There's a pin that you can drive out if you don't want it for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe you compete in some sort of competition organization that doesn't allow magwells, whatever. If that's the case, you can do so, or if you just want to conceal carry it, I'm not sure I would conceal carry this gun. It's not super heavy, obviously, because it's polymer and aluminum frame, but not my go-to EDC, I can tell you that much. But the grip module here, one thing it does very, very well, it has excellent texturing on it. So it's, as I always say here on the channel, I pretty much always want a more aggressive texture. I wouldn't complain about this one at all in terms of texture right now. It's about 95 degrees out here as I am filming, so my hands are sweaty, but it definitely sticks to it very well. Could it be more aggressive? Sure. But it's pretty darn aggressive, so I'm not mad about it at all. Good texturing both on the front and the back strap, which is exactly what you want. And then we have our grip safety on there, which obviously is extended and has that nice memory bump on there. I never, not once, missed the grip safety on this, which certainly is a good thing for folks who are new here, which I would imagine actually at the price point of this gun, there's probably a lot of new people watching this particular video. So if you're new, number one, subscribe, welcome. But for those who don't know, on a 2011 or a 1911 style pistol, if your thumb safety is in the fire position and you go to press the trigger, it will not fire unless that grip safety is depressed like that, as you guys can see there. So it is nice. I'm not a huge fan of grip safeties in general. However, if you're going to have one, you definitely want that large bump out there. You also want the upswept portion there at the rear to prevent your hand from getting slide bite. It does all of that. Not mad about it at all. Safety on this particular gun has been positive. No issues with it at all. It is ambidextrous, so if you guys are left-handed, you can run it just fine. It actually works in the left-handed configuration, which a lot of ambi gun controls don't do, as many of you guys know. And now let's talk about that trigger. So the trigger on the gun, the way it is advertised, is that they say it's like an enhanced custom fitted trigger or something. They use some words on their website, but what I will tell you is it is one of the areas that you will notice a difference between the higher end guns. It's still a straight pulled trigger. It's still fundamentally a 1911 trigger, which is very good. However, it's a little bit sloppy if you're comparing it to like a $4,000 or $5,000 gun. I don't really think it's a big deal, especially not in practice, but you can see it has a little bit more take up than most. Again, the really high end ones is what I'm talking about when I say most. And it's got a little bit of play side to side. I'm sure that will not show up on camera, but I promise you it is there. So in terms of being fit, it's just not the greatest. And then the brake, not super light as well. On the website for this particular firearm, they say it's 4.5 pounds, but on my trigger pull gauge, it's right around 6. So again, it's still a very good trigger. I want to make sure I'm emphasizing that. Let's zoom in and stop yapping so you guys can see it in action. So you can see there the reset. Very tactile, very audible. Once you get on the wall, it's very good. That said, again, it's still braking right around 6 pounds. So if you compare that to like a lot of your Atlases and stuff like that are going to be in the 2 to 4 pound range, depending on how you set it up. It's a little bit on the heavy side. That said, again, if you want to lighten it, there's a ton of tutorial videos on how to work on 2011s. You definitely can do so if you want to. Trigger guard on there is going to be a little bit smaller than some, so for most people not going to be an issue. However, if you plan on using this in a cold environment with gloves on, that is one thing to keep in mind. Now, before we actually move forward on the frame, we do need to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is the good folks over at 1775 Coffee. Most coffee gives you a quick hit, then leaves you jittery, foggy, and reaching for another cup before lunch. But what if your coffee actually did something for your health? Rejuvenate Coffee is science-backed coffee, real Arabica beans infused with CaACG, a compound shown to support cellular energy, metabolism, and even healthy aging. It's not a gimmick, it's not trendy. It's built for people who take their health seriously, who want to show up with focus and strength every single day. If you care about how you feel now and how you'll feel 10 years from now, this is your coffee. Go to 1775coffee.com/GNG and order Rejuvenate Coffee today. Code GNG will get you 15% off. Fuel your body, protect your future, rejuvenate. Now back to the Girsan. This thing is silly. And continuing forward there on the frame, you'll see our takedown lever there. Has good checkering on there, nothing fancy at all. However, it does work as advertised. One thing I should bring up that I think is actually true from the marketing material from the folks over at Girsan, I should actually bring up first. They did send this out for the review, so just full disclosure on that. They're not paying me anything for this video, but they did send the gun out for the review. But one thing the marketing material says is that there are no MIM parts on this gun, which, considering the price point, is actually kind of insane. And just looking at all the parts, I don't see anything that looks MIM at all. So that seems to check out, which, again, is definitely a selling point for the firearm itself. But, yep, that actual slide release works as advertised. I know some folks just had a little mini heart attack as I dropped the slide on the 2011 without a round in the chamber, but I promise you can do it every now and then, and it'll be just fine. Now, continuing forward there on that aluminum frame, a ton of different 1913 rails on there, so honestly, you could set it up rather just about any way you want to. Any of your accessories, they should all fit on there just fine. It comes out flush with that, I guess we'll call it like an island comp. I don't know what the actual name would be for that style of barrel, but they say the barrel's 5 inches long. Of course, it's not actually 5 inches long in practice because of that island port there out there on the end. And let me lock it back and let you guys see it does have a bull barrel design, and that compensator is part of the barrel. So it's all one piece. They do it very well. It is a super, super effective compensator. If you guys are a fan of compensators that work extremely well, this one would be one of them. This gun, in terms of when you're actually shooting it, in terms of the recoil that you experience, is kind of a cheat code. It is a little bit loud, and one thing I should note as well is that in that box that it ships with, it does ship with multiple recoil spring weights for different types of ammo. That is something that, if you guys have watched the channel for a while now, one thing I always bring up on comp guns is that comp guns inherently are less reliable. I stand by that statement. However, guns that come from a factory comped are less problematic, generally speaking, than if you just added a comp to a gun that came without one, if that makes sense. But all things being equal, which of course they never are, a comp gun is going to have more ammo preference issues, let's just say, than a non-comp gun. It just is what it is. It's a physics problem. However, I shot all different types of weights of ammo, primarily 124 grain Minuteman munitions, full metal jacket, but also Minuteman munitions, 115 grain and 147 grain, as well as some hollow point ammo from Fiocchi as well. It was 147 grain. I never changed the recoil spring once. I just went with the one that was in it from the factory. I didn't swap them out and play that game. Again, this gun has had zero malfunctions of any kind, which is extremely surprising and impressive to me. I did not expect that from, generally speaking, most 2011s. 2011s are getting better for sure in terms of reliability, particularly with the new magazines like the Checkmates, Nighthawks, those ones. They're very, very good magazines. However, I mean, that's as good in terms of reliability as you can get, which I certainly do dig. If you guys look, I'm not sure if I can get it on camera, but we have a ton of that blue copper fouling building up there in your brakes. So just be aware of that when cleaning it, or you can just leave it there because you think it looks cool. That is what I have done. One thing that also is good about the comp is that the actual rifling in the barrel itself stops there where the comp begins. So the reason that's important, again, for folks who are new, is that if the rifling goes through and then you cut a comp out in there, what that can do is for a lot of projectiles, it can actually shave the jacket off as it's going through, which can be problematic for a number of reasons to the actual shooter. You don't want that. A good example of that would be the early comped Glock pistols. They changed it once they figured out the problem that it was. But the early ones definitely had that issue and were causing issues with different fragments and stuff like that hitting the shooters from certain shooting positions. So they stopped the barrel rifling. Good on them, as good as you can do it. Continuing on back to the slide there, we do have a fiber optic front sight. And then you guys have noticed here, we do have a adjustable target rear. The rear sight is removable and you can add a RMSC pattern optic to it. We've ran 2 different optics on this gun. No issues with that at all. However, just know because obviously it is so low to the bore axis that you will lose the ability to use your front sight if you're using an optic. I personally don't like that. I view that as a con. However, after reading a ton of your comments over the years, I realize a lot of you, a high percentage of you, think that actually is a pro. You don't want any sights in your optics window. So if that is you, you'll think it's a pro. Me personally, I think it's a con. But so it's up to you, I guess, to make that decision. But all in all, the slide, there's a little bit of a hitch right there. I'm sure you guys can't hear it in the microphone, but you know, again, when you compare it to a $5,000 gun, it's not going to have right there. So it's not going to have that hitch in it like this one does. But I mean, overall, this thing's very, very smooth. The recoil impulse is very good due to the compensator, as well as the pretty decent fitting of the actual slide to frame on there. And ultimately the gun has performed, which is what matters at the end of the day. Another thing that definitely matters to folks watching this is going to be the price point. I believe they say the MSRP on this is 1,149 units of measure, whatever those units of measure are where you live. Of course, we can't say prices here on YouTube, but the actual street price is going to be a little bit less than that. When I drop this video, it'll probably go up for a little bit because demand will go up, but eventually it will come down. Generally speaking, it's going to be right around the 1,000 units of measure street price, which for a gun like this is very impressive. Like I said, it's essentially a Turkish Staccato XC clone, and those right now, the XCs, I believe, start out around 4,000 units of measure. So a fraction of the price point. And if you wanted to use this as like a builder gun, for example, say you had a less than great perception of the trigger, which I do, when you compare it to other guns. It's a very good trigger on its own. When you compare it to other guns, you're like, yeah, I could use some improvement. If you want to drop it in there and drop in whatever type of 2011 trigger and fit it to your preferences, you can do so. So if you wanted to use it sort of as like a project gun, you could, but you don't need to. Again, 1,500 rounds is a lot of rounds for a review here on my channel. Typically, I go around the 800 mark. However, on a gun like this from a company that I don't have a ton of experience with, on a platform with the 2011s, if you will, that have had issues over the years, I wanted to get that round count up. We did, and we had absolutely zero issues with it in terms of reliability. And this thing is a laser gun. It is a cheat code, especially when you put an optic on it, as compared to, say, like a polymer frame gun that you're probably used to shooting if you guys haven't shot a lot of 2011s. Would it be the gun that I would recommend for the first time shooter? Probably not. Just for maintenance, if nothing else. I should note that I did actually clean and lubricate this basically every 500 rounds, just because in my personal opinion, that's fair when you're reviewing a 2011. Again, compared to a striker fire gun, they just require more maintenance, in my experience anyway. So we did do that, but other than that, I mean, nothing special. We didn't do anything other than that. Like I said, didn't mess with the springs, none of that, and it ran. So I think that's pretty much it. I would say I definitely recommend it based on this sample size of one at the price point that it is. So if you guys have any questions, anything like that, you can always post those down below in the comment section as always. And if you like this type of video, make sure you guys have hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're following on all the various social media sites that I post on, particularly the non-meta ones. Those are the best ones. We have put several videos of me shooting this as the testing has gone along across social media, so you get a little preview over there. Additionally, if you've hit the subscribe button, you've hit the notification bell on YouTube and Rumble, and you're still not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week on the channel, then you are being censored by an algorithm. Easy way around that is sign up for the email at the website here on your screen. This email will go out in 2 different forms. One, it will go out once a month, and it just has all the videos since the previous month's email went out. So that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content. What a concept. And then it will also go out in the form of the daily deals email. So if this thing goes on sale, magazines go on sale, optics go on sale, whatever, lights, lasers go on sale, that will be in the daily deals email. If the item, whatever the item is the cheapest that I know of on the internet for that item on a given day, it will be in there. So that way I've already done the price comparisons for you. So that way it saves you guys some time and hopefully some money as well. We also have a SMS service. So if you guys are interested in that, instead of the email, you can do that, or in addition to the email. And that will go out at most once a day because they're very expensive to send for folks who don't know about SMS rates, commercial SMS rates. But you can sign up for that at the website here, or you can text this number code to the number here on your screen and get signed up for that. It goes out, like I said, at most once a day. It will either have a smoking deal or it will have a new video that drops. So that way, once again, we can get around the algorithmic censorship. And that's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video. This thing is crazy.